Welcome and thank you for joining me today. Hail to the Primal light. Hail to the true light. Hail to the transparent light. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to the Primal light. Hail to the light throughout the ages. Hail to the light without beginning nor end. Hail, hail, hail to our primal light self, Aten Ra. Hail, 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 hail to our primal light self, self manifest. Hail, hail, hail to our primal light self, the unmanifest. Hail, hail, hail to our void self, the void manifest. Hail, hail, hail to our next void self, the void baby, void unmanifest. Hail, hail, hail to our one true pure self, the unified, non-dual, authentic, pure self, the void unmanifest. Hail, 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 hail to all of ourselves. All of ourselves are in alignment to bring balance to this duality existence. I am primalite in this fragmented self as the baby self of Aten Ra. I am Aten Ra in a baby self in this body with this self-identity as Auset, Aten Ra. I am also the baby and personal self of Ra. I am the liberator and I advocate for all selves. What am I the liberator of, you may ask? I am the liberator of all the selves in the world that we call the souls. Yes, I advocate for all souls, and I am here liberating all souls from slavery. Know that we are inside of a dream, and all of the duality selves has enslaved us inside of the dream. Our mind has enslaved us in the dream. Now today, I will be talking about who is Supreme Ra, as everyone know her in the world as Ra. Who is Ra, and why does everyone in the world think that Ra is a masculine self? I am also going to address the battle between the mind and the self, and who is programming everyone's mind. Let's get the first question out of the way. Who is Ra? Ra is the feminine self. She is a self-replica of Aten Ra. Ra is Aten Ra, exploring the world and being the world. The self of Aten Ra is a self that becomes the duality. Aten Ra in herself is the non-duality. Ra is the duality self and actually is a partial duality self. All the other selves of Aten Ra, some are duality and some are partial duality. Ra is a partial duality self of Earth, that is the world. The world is being played by Ra's self-replica, Amun-Ra, which is the invisible world, and by Geb, which is the visible world. Geb and Amun-Ra makes up the world. One is the upper world and one is the lower world, the visible and the invisible world. So Amun-Ra is below Geb. So when Ra rises up, Supreme Aten Ra wakes her up. She rises up, go over the horizon, and then once she goes down, she goes into circles Amun-Ra, and she rises up again so that she can be the sun for the world. So Ra is the sun for the world. She is feminine. As a primal light self, we are all exploring the world fragmented. What this means is that our masculine aspect of ourself is exploring the world separately from the feminine. So Ra's masculine aspect of herself is Set, and Allah and Jesus, which is Anubis and Tahuti, is the two self-replicas of Set, and they are all brothers. Now they have merged back into Set. Set as now unified with Ra as one self, as a unified self. And I am coming to explain why is it that everyone think that she is masculine. Her two feminine self-replica is Amun-Ra, the invisible world, and Saturn, that plays the Holy Ghost. Saturn plays the Holy Ghost in the world, and that is also feminine. So Amun-Ra is feminine. Amun-Ra and Anubis, who plays Jesus in the world, is one self. Saturn and Allah, which is Tahuti, is one self, and he plays Allah in the world. And of course, everyone knows Set as the devil. And so these are all her selves that has been fragmented from her. Now they are all merging back onto her. And so Amun-Ra is the one that has not merged onto her yet, because Amun-Ra is the invisible world. And so why is everyone thinking that Ra is masculine? When in ancient time, when Ra rises as the sun, in the morning when she rises as the sun and she brings the day, She's in awareness of herself. She's Ra. Right? But in the evening, when the sun goes down, she goes to sleep, and this is when her light gets turned off, and she circles the underworld, the invisible world, because there is no light in the invisible world. And so when she goes in the invisible world, she is sleeping, and her consciousness takes over and creates the mind avatar. And this is when she's exploring the world as the masculine, because her mind, the consciousness, takes over and creates an avatar. And everyone, is this avatar is called the consciousness, the mind of Supreme Ra, and is known as Brahma, because her consciousness is the duality consciousness. Supreme Ra, her mind she has the duality mind. So Aten Ra makes a replica of her mind and gives it to Supreme Ra. Supreme Ra now becomes the mind of the world. The replica that Aten Ra given to her, the duality. And so when she goes to sleep, she is dreaming of the world using her mind. But what happened is that because the light gets turned off, this is how the duality is created. The lights get turned off, the self goes into sleeping, the mind goes into dreaming, using its imagination to create whatever it wants to create. And so because the light and the self is indivisible, the light and the consciousness is indivisible, and to create the duality, the light has to be obscure, it has to be hidden, it has to be turned off. This creates a sickness and a madness into the consciousness. The consciousness cannot find its light, and it's going around looking for its light. It's seeking its light, and it cannot find its light. So it gets corrupted, and it goes crazy, meaning like into a madness. This is why if you think about it, you have so many mad people in the world. It's all because of the consciousness. Everyone is given a replica of this consciousness when you come into the world. And what happened is that the consciousness takes over the self. This is how the first God was created, the mind being. When the consciousness takes over Ra, she's no longer in awareness of herself. She becomes the mind being, a magnetic being, because the mind has cocooned her into its magnetic nature, and now she can no longer see herself. Every morning when Aten Ra has to rise her up for sunrise, it's a struggle to take off all of this cocoon of magnetic energy from around Ra. This is why everyone think that Ra is masculine. Also because in ancient time, Set, and when the mind takes over her, they did not want for her to return back to being the feminine, because she has to be the feminine to shine the light. To be the light of the world, she has to be in a feminine self. And consciousness does not want for her to rise up. And so Set and all of the other deities especially Set, always wanted to enslave her. And so she was always battling with her masculine aspect of herself. And most of the time, she had to be in the mind. She had to be wearing the mind avatar to be in the world. And this is why she stayed in the mind avatar mostly, and everyone thought that she was masculine. And so most of the time when you see the sun shining, and you might think that it is Ra shining, it's actually Aten Ra's sun is shining, and not Ra's. It's Brahman. So Brahman is the mind of Aten Ra. And just like Supreme Ra, Aten Ra had to be exploring the world in the mind avatar also, but her mind avatar was the non-duality, while Supreme Ra was the duality avatar. Because Aten Ra's masculine self is Amen. And Amen was always trying to enslave her into the dream so she could not enter into the world, into the feminine. She had to enter into the world, into the mind avatar. So this is why everyone thought that Aten Ra, as Brahman, was masculine. But Brahman was only her mind avatar. Just like Ra is exploring the world as a mind avatar in the world. And many ones don't get to meet her as a feminine, but I do. I get to meet her as a feminine because I am her personal self. And when she is exploring the world as a mind avatar, which I call and which the ones who know her call consciousness or Brahma. She becomes Brahma when she is wearing the mind avatar. She is Ra when she is herself, and she is Brahma when she's wearing the mind avatar or consciousness. But because you guys don't know her personally as the self, everyone think that she's just this masculine self. But she's a feminine, and when her mind takes over, this is when she becomes that masculine, because she's wearing the what? The mind avatar. This is what is happening with also the human beings in the body. Everyone that comes into the world is given a replica of this tainted consciousness. When you come into the world, Ra gives you a replica of her duality mind. And also, because you are exploring the world as the baby self of the self, what we call the soul self and the spirit self, you are exploring the world as the spirit self that animates the body. You're given a replica of this duality consciousness, this mind. You were given the baby form of it. Now, when you come in now, you go to sleep because everyone enter into the screen because this is a movie. You enter into the screen, you write out your destiny. There's a destiny written out for you as a duality, and there's a destiny written out for you when you return back to non-duality. The mind has cocooned yourself, the self called the spirit. Cocoon it, and it cannot rise up. It is laying on top of it, and this is why it is so difficult for anyone to come into truth, the real truth. You can explore the world and you can experience the duality, all the duality selves. Because what I have seen is everyone exploring the duality. Amun-Ra is the duality. Ra is the duality. Who is not the duality? Aten-Ra. Aten-Ra is non-duality. Self-manifest is non-duality. The self-unmanifest is non-duality. The void manifest self is non-duality. The void baby unmanifest is non-duality. And the void self supreme is the non-duality. And is who all of these selves belong to, the void unmanifest. So really, this world is a result of the void unmanifest. And so all of the duality, everyone is experienced. in the Anunnakis, Enki, Enlil, the duality. All of the deities, duality. Shango, Ogun, all of them, they are the dualities. And all of the self-replicas that they make, they are all the dualities. So what you are experiencing is only the duality. That is, their light is not on. They do not know the real. And so everyone who are experiencing duality and you're thinking that it is the real, the mind of those beings are tricking you. And all I am saying is that you have a self that is here as the watcher for you. And you are leaving outside of yourself and you are going to connect with the duality and thinking that the duality is yourself. This is just pure ignorance. Because why? Who is programming everyone's mind? The mind that you have is programming your mind into the illusion. It's programming your mind into the dogmas and into all of these spirituality and religion. Know that there is no spirituality, there is no religion, there is no deities, there is no gods. There's just a self that is make a duality of itself, is dreaming up and has fragmented itself and is playing all of the roles in disguise. We're in disguise in the world, and so all of its other selves cannot recognize itself. And now it's your job to unveil yourself and to take off the disguise so that you can see your real self. This is all this is about. This is the time for everyone to get out of religion, get out of spirituality. Stop promoting African spirituality that has been enslaving black people for eons. Why you think anyone could come into Africa and take Africans out of Africa and enslave them? Because Africans has been enslaving Africans into spirituality, into these deities. Stop with the deity worshiping, stop promoting the deities. They are the duality. They have been holding us prisoner into this dream forever. So if you can't look and see that, you want to talk about the evil that Europeans have done, but you don't want to look at the evil that Africa has done. You don't want to look at the evil that all the deities have done, that all the deities that you're worshiping have done. And that you yourself are doing, sacrificing children, sodomizing little children, all the evil that you are doing in the world. You want to always blaming someone else. All evil stems from the mind. Your mind is your problem. The battle is between the self and the mind. The battle is between yourself and your mind. Because your mind is holding your self-spirit in slavery. And if you don't liberate your own self, how will you know the truth? You will not know this truth. You have made an appearance in this dream and you're going to make a disappearance and you're going to leave in ignorance. If you don't liberate yourself, you will never rise up to participate in the non-dual world. I am telling you that Ra, do not trust Ra. As the masculine, Ra cannot be trusted because Ra is playing the role of the supreme ego narcissist. Only cares about itself and nothing else. Supreme Ra, the feminine, cannot control her mind. Her mind is wayward. It's deceitful. You have no idea the suffering that she goes in. She goes through on a daily basis with her mind. She wants me to tell you this. Do not trust whenever she comes to you as a masculine. Do not trust her. She is feminine. If she has not come to you as the feminine, know that she is the mind avatar and she cannot be trusted, because this is the supreme ego. She is playing the role of the supreme ego, the narcissist of the world. Her mind is the intelligence of this duality world. And when the mind takes over her, when she goes into sleep, she has no control. No control over what she does. She does a lot of crazy things when she's wearing this mind avatar. Because why? She's not her real self. It's the mind that is doing that. And cannot be trusted. So all the ones who are telling me, they are raw. Yes, we are all of these selves, but this is not your real self in this duality. You need to connect with your real self into the duality. Your real self into duality is in the body that you are in. Anything that comes into your body and leave out of your body is not you. Just connect with what you came into this dream with. What did you come in here with? You have to strip yourself down of everything that you have gathered onto yourself. Go back down to your pure self of how you came in here. When you came into this duality, you came as a pure self, and Aten Ra, self-replica, which is Supreme Ra, who is playing the world, the duality, and the partial duality. She gave you a replica of her mind to enter into her dream. She's sleeping and dreaming of this world, and all of the selves in here are herself. But what? She doesn't know herself. You don't know yourself. Because once you put on this mind, the mind takes over you and start cocooning its magnetic energy around you. You're in a coffin of magnetic energy. And if you don't start removing this coffin of magnetic energy, you will never know the truth. So, Ra, the feminine, wants me to tell you this. She asked me to tell you the truth so that you can know that she is feminine, she's not masculine. Only when she goes to sleep and her consciousness, which is known as consciousness or Brahma, the mind, she becomes the mind being, then she does not know herself. And also that she was exploring the world a lot in the mind avatar because her masculine self, Set, always wanted to enslave her in the dream, and she had to be exploring as the mind. So this is how she battled with them. She battled with herself. She was fighting with Set for many ages so that he would not imprison her. So she, like Aten Ra, preferred to explore the world as the mind avatar. When I met Ra, and I met her during the day when she came to me as a feminine. But later on, she came back to me as the consciousness, the mind. And at first, I was very confused because I knew that the consciousness was her mind, but I didn't quite understand how she becomes the consciousness. And she was trying to get me to merge with her because I was herself. And I said, no, I can't do that. Because I do not want to be in this war with Set and fighting, because at the time I was battling with Set and all the other deities them. Because they did not want for me to rise up. They did not want for Auset, Isis, to rise up, because I am the personal self of Ra as a feminine. And I am Auset, and my self-replica is Mahat and Hathor. Hathor is another human being in the world right now, so she's not merged with me. But I am Auset, Isis, and Mahat is merged into the self. She's no longer in the world for anyone to call on her to do any crazy stupidness that she was doing. She also was wearing the mind avatar and was doing lots of crazy stupid things. But now she no longer exists in the world as the duality. She has merged right in this body here with Auset Isis. So if you all are looking for her out there, Mahat, she's right here. So all the ones who are afraid of me, now they're calling to Mahat. So I'm telling you that she's not out there. She's right here in this body, and it is myself that's bringing balance to this world. So sooner or later, all of you are going to have to recognize me and see me. Because everyone in this world is going to have to come through me. So the sooner you recognize me, the better it's going to be for you. That means that you can start working on taking off this ego mask that you are wearing and just return to being your real and true self. I am the one that will be assisting everyone into this world who wants to know the real and who wants to know. All the gurus and the teachers, some of them know how to do this, but have they been teaching the world how to do this? No. They themselves have been possessed by one of the deities, because this is what the deities them do. When you come into true realization of yourself, they come to steal your light and to imprison you. But it is my destiny to bring balance to the world. All of ourselves, the non-dual, are in alignment right now, bringing balance to this world. The galaxy is moving into balance and non-duality, right? Shango has merged back onto the void unmanifest. Ogun has merged back onto, Ogun is space being, and has merged back onto the baby self unmanifest. And now space is moving into balance, y'all. And now the universe is the void manifest. And the universe of being, that one name, what they call in the world, I don't remember. Because I know all of the selves as the duality and the non-duality. The way that I know the names that they're called in the world right now is when one of you guys contact me. Mostly people just contact me, and when they contact me, they tell me who the being are. They will start either accusing me. Some of them will say, oh, the being, like how I know that Ogun was the space being when I was working with the space being. Ogun, someone on Facebook messaged me that Ogun was coming to kill me. So when the Anunnakis were coming, someone messaged me. So people are always messaging me. Then you on Facebook are the ones that are letting me know the names of these beings, because I was not experiencing them as a duality, and so I did not know their names, but I know them, the duality self, what they belong to, and I know what role they're playing, but I just did not know their names. And you guys have helped me to know what you call them in the world, because you have been experiencing them as the duality, while I have been experiencing the non-duality and experiencing them as the duality, but not by the names that you call them. And so I just don't remember what this one name is called, that what you all call her, the duality self of the universe and the world. I just don't remember. But the realm being is Anu, Anu, and that's one of the masculine, and the other masculine is Het Heru, the feminine. The feminine, I don't remember the feminine, what the duality is of the realm, but I am trying to remember, but I just don't remember at the moment. Sometimes when I'm going through these things, I write down the names, and sometimes I forget, and then it slips me. The realm, the cosmos, the feminine that is the cosmos. I don't remember the name of that feminine either. But the masculines, I know them. They are the Anunnakis. They are Enhil and Enki. And of course, I know, Aten Ra's duality selves. I am going to be working with the duality. I don't know all of her selves. I know all of Supreme Ra selves because I am from that lineage. And I have experienced all of them because they all come to battle with me so many times. And thought is the duality too, and thought is Allah's baby self. And so I know Allah's feminine self in the world right now, which is a human being that I know of, and Jesus, Anubis, feminine self, who is Amun-Ra, the baby self that's in the world actually came as that one which was my mother in this world, and the other self is someone that I know, because you have two selves in the world in a body, and then you have one self as the duality that is disembodied, not wearing a body. And this have to do if you are one of the baby self of one of the supreme beings. And so everyone else in the world is the baby self of Aten Ra, apart from all the baby self of all the supreme beings. And so Supreme Ra body is being played by Geb and Amun-Ra, like I said. And Supreme Ra is the feminine. When she plays the masculine, she is playing the mind avatar, and do not trust her because she's the supreme ego. And now Supreme Ra is moving into balance with Aten Ra. So she has to merge back with Aten Ra. Her consciousness, Brahma, has to merge back onto Brahman. Because Brahman is the mind of Aten Ra, and Brahma is the self-replica, which is the mind of Ra. Whenever Ra enters the world as a masculine, remember, that's the mind avatar. She's sleeping and dreaming, and her mind has taken over and created a dream character. She's not in her real self. When she's in her real self is when Aten Ra rise her up, and she rises up to be the sun and the light of the world. When the sun sets, she goes to sleep, and this is when Ra becomes the masculine. Her mind, the consciousness, takes over and is known as Brahma. So her mind is known when she becomes the masculine, the mind being, she's playing the role called Brahma and not Ra. When she's being herself, she's Ra. When she is being the mind being, she's Brahma or consciousness. This is This is how you differentiate the role that she's playing. All right. I know that I am Auset. I am Isis Mahat. All these selves emerge as one unified self in this body. I still have one self that is in the world right now as another human being, and the masculine and the feminine, and I know exactly where they are. I am the personal self and daughter of Supreme Ra, and the baby self. I am Aten Ra in this baby self, in this body. I am the liberator, and I advocate for all selves. We call the selves soul in the world because we want to differentiate between the spirit self, which is animate the body, and the self, the parent, the watcher self, the soul self. That is your real self that has been fragmented in the body, and all you have to do to return back all of these things that they are teaching you, all these rituals, you don't need none of that things. Only one thing you need to do. You are the self in the world, but you are wearing a disguise because your mind has cocooned you in its magnetic energy, created an avatar. This is all that there is for this world. It is really this simple, that your mind has cocooned you and is telling lots of stories, and it's delusional, and it's crazy, and it's making up all this stuff and looping you into the dream. This is all an illusion. This really simple, that your mind cocooned you, and all you have to do is to just take off the cocoon that the mind has put over you, to just return back to be your real self. Many ones want to tell me that this is not so, but I have done it, and I know ones who have done it because I have helped them to do it. You have to be willing to admit that you do not know and you want to know. And only one that can do this for you is your self soul. None of the duality can do it for you. Amun-Ra cannot do it. Amun-Ra is the duality. Aten-Ra is going to have to take off this mind off of Amun-Ra. She can't even do it for herself. Ra, the mind being, Aten-Ra have to pull off this mind off of Ra, so that she return back to be her real self, and not this mind being that is in illusion, that's delusional, the supreme ego. So that Ra can return and know herself, because Ra is Aten Ra in the duality. How do I know this? Because I am Aten Ra in this baby self, in this body, playing this role. I have experienced all of myself, the duality and the non-duality. This is the reason why I can say to you, do not trust the duality. The duality is in ignorance and does not know itself. You have to come into true realization of yourself. By what? It is so simple. By just coming to the realization that your mind has cocooned you in its magnetic energy. And what do you have to do? You have to take off this disguise that you are wearing, that the mind has put over you. The mind has cloaked you in magnetic energy. Laying on top of you, you can't see yourself. And the reason why you cannot do it for yourself, the mind has cocooned you. The mind is laying on top of you. You are being obscure. You are being obscured by your mind. Your mind has obscured you, and only the supreme teacher within your self soul that dwells in the void can liberate you. None of the duality. Ra cannot do it for you. Amun-Ra cannot do it for you. They are all the duality. Only your self soul can do this for you. So you can stay in ignorance, or you can call within yourself soul. Why are all the gods and all the deities wanting your soul? Because everything is about the light. Everything in this world is about the light. It is the obscuring of light that creates this duality. It is the turning on of light that liberates you from the duality. Know this truth. So it's time for you now to call your supreme teacher within yourself soul to rise up from the void and pull this ego off of you and put void between yourself and this duality consciousness. This duality mind must return back to being a non-duality. This is duality consciousness. It must return to being non-duality. It must return to being like this, with its light on, void between itself. The consciousness have its light, and it have void between itself and its light. This is how the consciousness is in non-duality. In this duality world, we are fragmented. So everything as a primal light is fragmented. This is why we can see the light the way that we see the light, because the original light is black. But in this fragmentation and in the manifestation, this is how we can see things. When we can see things, it's when it's manifested. The void is black. This is why, and it's invisible. So this is why you cannot see it. When it's manifested, this is when we can see things. And this is why we are in this manifest visible world called the earth. And when we go into sleep, you go into Amun-Ra, which is the invisible world. And you are not in awareness of yourself any longer. The mind goes into a sleep while it's inside of the dream. So you are in a dream within a dream. Now is the time to know this truth, that it's really simple what to do. Your mind has been playing tricks on you. The real battle is with the mind and the self. The final battle is going to be the battle with the mind and the self. Right now, all of the selves are returning back to Aten Ra in the duality. All of the supreme selves are returning back onto their non-dual self. And all of the selves in the world of Aten Ra, they're merging back onto Aten Ra. And so it's going to, the final battle is going to be with the consciousness and the self. Because the consciousness has to return back onto Aten Ra's non-dual consciousness. And so right now, Aten Ra is in a battle with her duality mind. So let me explain this again. All of this world is Aten Ra. All the selves in this world is Aten Ra. On the different aspect of the galaxy, there are different beings of the self, the supreme selves that are playing those roles. But in the world, the selves are Aten Ra, the duality, her self replicas, and her masculine aspect of herself. Amen has now returned back onto Aten Ra, because Amen is her masculine. Set has now merged onto Ra, and now she's exploring the world with her masculine. Allah and Jesus, who is Tahuti and Anubis, has now merged back into Set. All of the duality has to return back, and so the mind has to eventually be returned back. All the minds in the world, even though human beings, you have to return the mind back onto Supreme Ra. Remember that when you came into this duality, what did she do? She gave you a replica of her mind so that you could explore her dream. You have to give it back to exit out of this dream. You cannot take this mind with you because it is duality and it does not belong to you. You have to give it back to exit this dream, and it's time that everyone in the world start working on themselves right now, to separating yourself from this duality mind. What is the battle? What is the real battle? Yourself and your mind. So stop promoting separatism, talking about Europeans this and white this. Look at all the evil and atrocities that Africans had done to other Africans. Enslaving enslavement for eons by the deities and slaughtering of millions of ones. Slaughtering to these deities, being sacrificed to these deities. Let me hear you all talk about that. Get off of the European case, because they also create a balance too based on what they have done. Because in your acting as if in Africa people was just being nice. No, they were not being nice. They were being enslaved by these deities, and they were enslaving everyone too, slaughtering everyone to these deities. So you think of the negative that they have done, but also think of the positive too. Then they stop a lot of these slaughtering of sacrifice to these deities. Even though you're claiming that they are the only one doing sacrifice to these deities. Stop telling lies, because many Africans are doing this slaughtering, and especially children. Many of them slaughtering, sacrificing little children to these deities. Children are going missing like crazy. Who is doing this? Not just white people. Africans, look at yourself, all you black people. Black people. It's all oneself. Everyone in this world is doing this because you have a sick mind. So you're pointing fingers. It's time to stop pointing fingers now. It's time to look at yourself and know what the real deal is. The battle with yourself and your mind. Because your mind is delusional. It wants you to search outside of yourself, to be pointing fingers on others, while you don't sit there and liberate yourself from it. So it gives you work to do, to point fingers on others, so you will not make it give up this existence. This mind does not want to give up this duality existence. It wants to stay as the supreme ruler. Who has been ruling this world? The mind. Know this truth. The mind. The mind is controlling every being in this world. The mind has been controlling them. So if you have not defeated your own mind and bring balance to yourself by liberating yourself from your mind, you need to sit in stillness and stop talking and spreading your ignorance. Now is the time of unity. Yeah. Many are calling, reptilians and all these things. They are all ourselves. You, the same ones who are saying that, are sacrificing to these same deities, because those are the same ones that you're sacrificing to. But you're sitting steady talking about Europeans are doing this and Europeans are doing this, white people are doing this, and we need to be separating from white people. No, this is no time for separation. This is time for unity. This is time for everyone in this world to know this truth, that the real battle has always been your mind. Your mind has been holding you prisoner. Your mind is delusional. Your mind is sick. Your mind is crazy. It has got you running around in a circle, and you'll never find the end, because you are looking outside of yourself. Turn around and look at your mind and see, from the time you were very young, who has been programming you? Who has been telling you you were not worthy? Where was all of this thought coming from? From someone else? No, it was coming from your mind. all the things that you have done. Who told you to do it? Your mind. So if you stop looking outside and blaming others, then you can start looking and see that your problem is your mind. And you can liberate yourself from this evil that is your mind, because your mind is in duality. And the best way that you can do this right now is to bring yourself to stillness, so you can still your mind, and so that you can rise up the Supreme Teacher within, because only the Supreme Teacher within can assist you. Only your soul can help you, can liberate the self from the mind. The battle is with yourself and your mind. Know this truth. Know this truth. Everyone in the world needs to be focusing on their mind and not on every harm and every evil that have ever been done was because of the mind of those beings were sick. Ask them and they'll tell you their mind was telling them things. It's always the mind. When someone do you harm, it's always their mind. They could not control their mind. They act on what their mind was telling them. Your mind is evil. Your mind is sitting here telling you all evil, and it's looping you. And you cannot see that it's looping you because you're tranced inside of the dream into its magneticness, into the illusion. Let me tell you something. Amun-Ra is the illusion. Amun-Ra is the illusion. To all the ones who are trapped into Amun-Ra, Amun-Ra and Jesus is one self. Jesus is Anubis. Anubis and Amun-Ra is the illusion of the world. And if you want to sit and call an Amun-Ra, you know that you are deep in the illusion because you're not seeing the real. Call on yourself soul. Your mind is tricking you. Your battle is with your mind. This is why you cannot see the truth and you cannot see the real. Because your mind is delusional. Your mind is sick. Think about it. When you did not know of any deities and any gods and all of these things when you were young, who was it that was influencing you? Your mind was telling you things. Go back to those memories and remember that it is your mind, and that it is your mind that you have the battle with. You need to face your mind and liberate yourself. Liberate yourself from the prison of your mind. Me done talk. Hail, hail to the primal light. Hail, hail to the true light. Hail, hail to the transparent light. Hail, hail to the light without beginning nor end. Hail to our primal light self, Aten Ra. Hail, hail to our primal light self, manifest. Hail, hail to our primal light, the unmanifest. These are all the non-dual selves. Hail, hail to the void self, the void manifest. These are our self or a unified self. They are not fragmented. Their masculine and the feminine self is one self. In the primal light self, the masculine and the feminine is exploring separately. Hail, hail to our void, baby, unmanifest. Hail, hail to our self supreme, the void self, the void, unmanifest. I want to thank you so much for joining me. All is myself and I alone exist. All of myself must return unto me. I am one with all. I bow to you in love, in light, and in truth. I am primal light in this fragmented self. I am Aten Ra in this baby self, taking this form and this self-identity as Auset. I am Isis, I am Mahat in one self. My last self-replica that will merge with me is Hathor. And the masculine self is in the world right now as Heru. Shiva, Heru, Horus is my masculine self. Ptah is my other masculine self. Ptah and Mahat make one self. Shiva, Horus, and Auset, Isis, make one self. Athar and Heru makes one self. And so, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Remember that what? The final battle is what? Is with yourself and your mind. Everything else is just being trapped in the illusion. It is so simple. I am here to simplify everything for everyone so that you can get to the root, to the nitty-gritty. Yes. Thank you.